Welcome. So this is the Mind, Body, and Spirit panel. We are very excited to have this group of experts with us, helping us to guide us to become our best selves and bringing that to the workplace and into our daily lives. My name is Alyssa Johnson. I'm the Senior Manager of Global Communications at Komatsu, and I have the honor of guiding this discussion today. So first, let's meet our experts. So ladies, if you want to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay? My name is Alyssa Greer. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I've been practicing in Wisconsin for almost 30 years, which is hard to believe. I have a specialty in anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder in particular, and I speak cognitive behavioral therapy, which you'll hear me talk about. And actually, as a therapist, I, of course, endorse therapy as a really good form of self-care. And luckily, in a way, some positives have come out of COVID. For the past few years, with the advent of more telehealth, it's actually become a little more accessible to myself as well as my clients, and particularly working people, especially working moms, because they're sometimes able to, take a lunch break and do therapy and not get into their time at home and time with family. For me, I'm just going to introduce, since we're talking about self-care and being our best selves, emotional self-care. My goal for everyone, including myself, is to be as happy as possible as often as possible. So that's where I come from. And cognitive behavioral therapy provides a really great framework for that. But what we learn from it is that our thoughts, our behaviors, and our emotions are all reciprocally connected, and so that we actually have a lot more control over our emotions and that happiness that we're talking about than we might think, because we can look at and target our thoughts and our behaviors and change them and choose to change them in order to feel happier. So I'd like to give an example that seems to resonate with a lot of people. I use it in my practice all the time on how that works. And I think, is there a handout or it's just going to be after the
There should be a handout that is on the chair.
There's a diagram somewhere on cognitive behavioral therapy and the circle and shows how everything works together. So this example is, if you walk into work and you say hello to your boss or your coworker and they don't respond, some people might think, oh my gosh, are they mad at me? Did I just do something wrong? And if you have that thought, and your feeling, your emotion might be upset, scared, anxious, maybe angry, all of the above. And will that affect your behavior? Possibly. You might choose to avoid that person because you're afraid you're going to get in trouble or you think they don't like you. All right? So, same exact scenario. You walk in, you say hi, no response. And you think, oh, they didn't hear me. Does that change how you feel? Probably not. Does it change how you act? Probably not. So, and we don't really know, right? We don't know why that person didn't respond. So we can choose that. We can learn to change our automatic ways of thinking about things. We can choose that they didn't hear me. So a final thing I want to say is just that we need to, you've probably heard some of this in the sessions, we need to go out of our comfort zones. We need to often be uncomfortable, unfortunately, to progress and to actually be happy, to be flexible, to be able to do things we want to do. Again, I'm sure we'll be talking more about that. I do want to say personally that I am kind of petrified of public speaking, so this today, I did a big default no when Kate called, default yes, what I call it when Kate called me, because I think this is a great opportunity. I love sharing what I know, I love meeting people, I like to talk, just not in groups. So thank you for being here with me and us, and I will pass it on.
I guess it's my turn. First, I want to say thank you, everyone, for being here this morning and for having us. My name is Zagrodnik. I am the owner and nutritionist at Integrative Health and Wellness, a private practice. And I specialize in functional nutrition, functional medicine. My passion and niche, I would say, is gut health and hormones. So hopefully that's something that interests this room this morning. And I work with individuals virtually, so all over the board. But I did have 2 practices locally, and that's how I was connected here in the Waukesha and Mequon areas where many of my clients are from. So,
I'm Faye Wetzel, and I have a women's clothing store in Mequon. We've been around for 33 years. And I think we have the biggest audience, maybe. And the reason that I'm here is I think a lot of people think that fashion is shallow. But I am telling you that I think it is a foundation of our self-esteem. I think that what we put on our bodies, that's our armor for facing our battles of the day. And there are many. So that's my reason for being here today.
Love it. I feel like we could probably spend a full session with just each one of them, with all of the questions that I have, and I'm sure that you all have. We're going to get through as many as I have, and depending on time, we may try to open it up a little bit. But first, we're going to do some icebreakers, a little lightning round, like to get people feeling a little comfortable here. So we'll go down the line. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset. Sunset.
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
All right. What is your go-to movie snack?
I am not a snacker.
Devastating.
Don't get me wrong, I eat like big meals, unfortunately, but no snacks.
Heavy meal before the movie.
During the movie.
Yes. Love it.
I'm basic. Popcorn.
Popcorn, for sure.
What is your favorite local restaurant? Bonus points if you have a favorite meal there too.
So I'm not local, local for me is Kenosha, so it's not Milwaukee, but, it's hard for me to have a favorite of everything because I like a lot of things. A lot of things make me happy. I'm present wherever I am, so I hate to be the person who doesn't answer these questions, but I love steak, so if I could pick my favorite steak place. I can't take one, sorry.
I don't go to a lot of restaurants anymore. I have 3 children, 4 and under, so I'm going to go back to 4 years ago. I love Parkside 23 in Brookfield.
I live in Lake Country. We have a lot of great dive bars. I love Hog Alley. They make a mean burger.
My mother likes to work there.
Seriously?
Well, my husband's bands can be playing there in September, and I've never been there, so I'm going to go.
Session 2, Hog Alley. We'll be there. All right. So, Alyssa, you talked a little bit about the handout that you shared that's on the table. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about the connection between our feelings and our behavior and the value that, like, exposure therapy, kind of like what we're going through today?
Well, yeah, exposure therapy, that's good, because I gave that example, and that was kind of heavy on the cognition, like how we think about things, but certainly how we act affects how we feel, and exposure therapy is actually therapeutic. It's a way to do therapy, but this is an exposure for here today. And people ask, for example, and I think you talked about this, what if there's something scary coming up, something scary that you maybe want to do, but you're scared to do? So the concept of exposure therapy is, there's no way around it. You have to do scary things in order for them to become less scary, but you could do them in a hierarchical way. So maybe you choose I couldn't do that today so much. I practiced this in front of friends a couple times, but, let's say you want to ask for a raise, I guess, from your boss, Maybe you start by just, maybe initiating conversations isn't that easy for you to begin with. So you start by practicing, repeatedly initiating conversations with people, with coworkers, and then maybe you do imaginal exposures. Imagine yourself, say imagine your boss. So that is a part of the behavioral part of cognitive behavioral therapy, but we all use it. We probably all do use it in our daily lives, and we're aware of that. It's easier for the things we're not scared of. We realize that. The first time you do anything, you're a little uncomfortable when you do it, and it's fine. And that's how it works, whether you have excess anxiety or not excess anxiety. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think so. Faye, I'm going to jump to you next because I really like how you talk about how our clothes are our armor and our shield, and that you have said that you're in the self-esteem business. So can you talk about the way we talk about ourselves and the connection it has sort of on our feelings and behaviors, maybe on some of the things that you've heard in like the dressing rooms with how mothers talk to themselves, how women talk to themselves when they look in the mirror and maybe aren't happy with what they see?
One of the greatest joys in my business is when I see multiple generations shopping together. Sometimes I have grandmothers and mothers and granddaughters. It makes me tear up in the store at the same time. That's sort of my reason for living. But I've also seen some things, as if young women don't have enough pressure with social media. I have seen mothers and daughters competitive dressing. I have seen mothers body shaming their daughters. And that to me is absolutely horrifying. But it does go on. And, at that point in time, sometimes we can almost do what I would call a fashion jump in and compliment the young woman or try and negotiate, find some language around that. Is that what you mean in those
Yeah.
stories?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, there's so many times you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm in a great headspace, got a great night's sleep, I'm just really feeling awesome, I had a great breakfast, and I go up and I try to pick out an outfit and I lose all of that. I'm in my closet and I'm just,
Stop right there. This is one of my best hacks. And it's on your cheat sheet because I wrote down sort of my fashion hacks, but this is one of my best ones. If you take away nothing else from this session, before you go to sleep at night, even if it's the last thing you do before you drop off to sleep, know what you're going to wear the next day. Okay? Takes that pressure off in the morning that you're talking about. And if you have multiple things during the day, I don't like to change clothes during the day. That makes me crazy. So always dress for kind of your dressier event, right? So dress for your dressiest event. And if it's quite a bit dressier than something else you have to do during the day, one of my other hacks is in your car, in your trunk, you have a shawl, you have your earrings, dressier earrings, and you have a clutch. So that's a great desk to dinner hack, right? Okay, but don't go to sleep without knowing what you're going to wear, and don't change your mind.
That's the hard part sometimes. I have to talk to people about that because we have self-doubt then, right? But you've got to stick with it. I chose this outfit.
Gotta
By the
stick
way, it
with
was out
it.
of my comfort zone also. So I chose this outfit a week or so ago. I hung it up and I said to myself, I don't want to change it, but I'm not going to change it. It did make it easier though.
And when you walked in today and sat down at the table, I thought you looked so nice. I mean, really, really, really nice. No.
I love it. So, Amanda, I'm going to jump to you next. It's really important, obviously, that we take care of ourselves and we feel good on the inside and the impact that can have on how we present ourselves on the outside. But what I am always really confused with is I see nutritionist, I see dietitian, I see naturopathic doctor, I see, maybe nutritionist that like my general practitioner might recommend me go see. What are the darn differences? Who do I go to for what?
That's a really great question because I do fall outside of who you would see at the hospital or at your general practice, your primary care practitioner. So I am what's considered a clinical nutritionist. So I have my master's degree in human nutrition with an emphasis in disease management and prevention. And then I sat for a board certification called Certified Nutrition Specialist. So that puts me in the driver's seat as far as how I can practice with clients. I do not have the handcuffs or oversight of the American Nutrition and Dietetics Association, which is not a bad thing, but the people that I practice with require a little bit more personalization. The downside of that is that people like me, you will see practicing in private practice. I am not licensed as a dietitian, so I cannot work in a hospital setting, a school setting, or other public settings like a prison. There are dietitians at prisons. You didn't know that. And then a naturopathic doctor is similar mindset and practice to how I practice. Actually, my degree, the school that I chose, has the option to go on for further schooling to become a naturopathic doctor. 10 years ago when I was really young and didn't have kids, that sounded so fun. But I'm going to table that for at least a few more years. But a naturopathic doctor and a certified nutrition specialist who practices in functional nutrition like I do practice very similarly. I hope that answers.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So then, Faye, I'm going to come back to you because, we're talking about, and I think a lot of people, especially during COVID, coming out of that, are really focusing on getting their minds, their body in the right space. But a lot of us are in new journeys in our life. And so we've got, we said 3 kids under 4. I've got 2 young kids, and going through COVID and the shift in the trends, I have no idea how to find the right pieces for me that are trendy. So how do I maybe build around something I do love? Like if I've got a pair of power shoes, we've all got that power shoe, power shirt, we put it on and we're like, I feel great. But I don't have pants anymore that go with it because skinny jeans aren't a thing anymore. Thanks, Gen Z.
It's a dilemma. And COVID, I mean, there was such a shift during COVID and then coming out of COVID, right? And we sort of continued on that really casual, comfortable thing, which is okay if it doesn't cross over into sloppy. And I think we all, and especially I think young women who probably were going to enter the workforce or take that next step during COVID, where they would have had a fashion mentor. We heard a lot about mentors today in the session. They didn't have that. So I think it's really, really difficult. But I will say, I am seeing the pendulum swing back to quiet luxury, right? Just buy what you love, buy good things, amortize, spend a little money, amortize the wearings. And if I have a health problem, I go to a doctor. If I have a legal problem, I go to an attorney. If you have a wardrobe problem, go to the experts. I mean, if you're really feeling that way, it's causing you stress, it's not fun for you, maybe you don't like to shop, maybe you do, but you still don't know what to buy. Find a store. We have wonderful local stores in the city. If you don't come to Faye's, there are others. There's like Layla. I think there's a new store in the 3rd Ward. There's Twigs out in Brookfield. Our people know what they're doing. This is their life's work. I have women working for me 20 years, 25 years, 15 years, 10 years. And we see everything, all right? We see and read everything. We know what the heck we're doing. And if you walk in the door, I am not totally going to say, oh my God, we need to change your style. I'm going to go, great blouse. We can work with this, right? And any budget we can work with too. I think people think that you have to spend a whole pile of money. And the other thing, when the new seasons come along like now, the first thing I tell customers, friends, clients, is know what the trends are. Okay, however you get your fashion news, know what the trends are. But then you know where you go? To your closet. Because there is something in your closet that will work. Surprisingly to me, again, this year, animal print, right? Crazy, actually, animal print. Now, it's a classic, but this year again, huge trend. You got an animal print piece in your closet. I know you do. So it's not brain surgery, but it is educated. It is educated. Okay?
Absolutely, I love that. How many mothers do we have in the room? Quite a few. Me too. Mom guilt. I want to talk about that because I think that comes up a lot when we talk about self-care and we talk about, making sure that our minds, our bodies, all that is in the right place. We're too busy putting everybody else first before we're worrying about ourselves. And I know even when I go shopping, I end up not buying anything for me. I end up buying clothes for my kids instead. I have this awful cycle of not having anything to wear. But Alyssa, I want to talk to you about mom guilt. How can we go about these things without feeling guilty that we're putting ourselves first?
Okay, I hope I can make this really easy for everyone. This is a favorite topic of mine because I hear that word so often. It makes me sad and kind of sick, So I have developed, and I don't know, I didn't ever look up the actual definition of guilt, but I have my own definition of guilt that I've been sharing with people for a while now. My definition, because guilt is an emotion, I think that we have emotions for reasons, to help us, and guilt, I think, is so that we're reasonable people, right? We have a conscience. So my definition of guilt is if you purposely do something to harm someone, maybe you should feel guilty about that. If you kick your boyfriend's guitar because you're mad at him, maybe you should feel guilty about that. I did that in college. That's the only thing I could think of that I fit the definition of guilt. So and that also ties in well with kind of the idea of how we think about things and the words we use, the way we talk to ourselves. So guilt, I want you all to take that out of your vocabulary, first of all right? So if you're taking time to yourself, are you purposely doing something to harm someone? Absolutely not. The other word I want to talk about is selfish, because I hear a lot of people call themselves selfish, or I feel like I'd be selfish if I did that, if I bought things for myself, right? Or if I took time and went to get my nails done when I could have been doing something else. So I want you to take selfish out of your vocabulary. I don't think selfish is a bad word, but it has bad connotations over time. Because we need to take care of ourselves. And I think there's a big irony, and I see this a lot. Actually, I see this even in the a big irony in people who, moms in particular, women maybe more so than men, because the way our brains work, we take care of other people, right? We put ourselves last sometimes. I mean, I don't do this actually, but people put themselves last. But the irony is, when you do that and you're caring for everybody else, you actually end up with people who are burnt out, shut down. They're not really fully there for the people that need them. You know, they're maybe going through the motions, but they're not really fully available. So I want you to keep that in mind too. So I hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. So I'm going to swizzle a little bit. We're going to talk about trends. How many people are on social media? We're doom scrolling constantly, and we're getting bombarded with things that are wrong with us that we didn't know were wrong with us. So Amanda, we're going to talk about cortisol, and I'm probably letting you all into the algorithm that is my Instagram today. So enjoy. So cortisol is everywhere on my Instagram. How do I know if my cortisol needs managing, or what are tips that I can implement to just overall be better aligned, more calm and centered?
That is a great question. I live by a practice, I like to say test, don't guess. There's a good chance that most of the women, and I see a couple men, in this room probably have imbalanced cortisol, but it is best to test and know your levels and not guess. This is something that I do, but there's also at-home tests available. The best way to collect cortisol is through saliva, and an at-home test is great because you are able to test multiple times throughout the day, because your cortisol levels matter at night, in the morning, and throughout the day. And then the approach based on your levels matters depending on what time of day is an issue. Some symptoms to look for are chronic fatigue and burnout. Another thing to look for is stubborn abdominal adiposity, which is a nice way of saying body fat in the midsection. So if you feel that you are doing everything you can to incorporate healthy lifestyle habits and you have a stubborn midsection, there's a good chance that hormones are part of the issue or part of the culprit. And cortisol is one of the hormones that's related in that challenge. When it comes to some simple lifestyle takeaways, stress management is critical, and it is the one lifestyle habit that I think gets really pushed under the rug or left until we have time. So doing things like meditation, which can be scary if you're not a natural meditator, which I'm not. I teach it, but it's really hard for me to slow down and do it. So if that's you and you don't enjoy moving slow, doing things like yoga or meditating, I recommend starting small. There's 2 free apps that a lot of people like. Calm, has anyone in here heard of that? And then my personal favorite is Simple Habit. And they have things as simple as a 5-minute meditation. This could be something that you're doing during the day at lunchtime. There's even evening time meditations to help wind down before bedtime. But stress management and meditation is critical.
Do you have any tips around stress management when we find ourselves suddenly attacked in a stressful situation? So we're at work, we think the day is going smooth, boss comes in, last minute request, completely throws off my day, now I'm super stressed out. Is there anything I can do in that moment to find my new self?
2 simple things depending on your ability to remove yourself or not. If you're not able to remove yourself from the situation, belly breathing, which might sound silly, but most of us women from a young age are taught to brace our core. I was a gymnast for 20 years. I've been bracing my core forever. But when you breathe, you really do need to learn how to relax and breathe out through the belly. And there's a simple practice of breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for a count of 5, and breathing out for 7 seconds. I'm going to blame baby brain on that one. But belly breathing, if you cannot leave, slow down and take a few moments to breathe slow to try to gather yourself. Another very simple thing that can be done even in a workplace situation is get out and take a walk. If you can get out in the sun and take a walk, great. But even if that means taking a lap in the building for 5 minutes, for 15 15 minutes, whatever you have, but removing yourself and getting a little movement and sunshine if possible.
I love that. Faye, is a color analysis worth it? If not, what do I do instead?
I have sort of like PTSD about it. Because I remember it was it the 80s? Was it the 80s?
Yeah.
But I guess I have to take a step back, and I talked about being educated. And I was talking with a friend about this last night, and I was like, really, Ellen? I said, we know what colors look good on us. And she's like, yeah, some of us don't. So maybe, yes, Ashley, I'm going to call you out here. So, well, we have a renowned person in the audience. This is Ashley Brooks, and she heads the fashion department at Mount Mary. So, Ashley, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down for color analysis now?
I mean, I think like most things, it's a trend, and so it's new that all these people know.
Right.
So that's like the best thing that myself, I think there is something to color and how it complements your complexion, and you just know you wear certain things, like you said, you just feel better, and that means color might have something to do with that. So, you learn about color theory in school, and blue tones and yellow tones and what complements things, and I think there is something to it, but I don't think you have to be like rigid, live and die by it.
Right.
I'm not supposed to like black, but guess what?
Yeah.
But, just having those little touches, especially in your face, I think is really
And I think paying attention to what looks good on you, right? I mean, I always tell women as we age, navy looks better on us than black. Black kind of drains us. If you just take a piece of navy fabric and put it up to your face, and then you put black, you will see the difference. So I do think there is something to it. And again, it's just another piece of education, another piece of paying attention.
You have me rethinking my whole life.
I have a comment on this too, because I have a little bit of PTSD, because back in the 80s, my good friend's mom was doing color analysis, and she just did it for us for fun, right? And she couldn't figure me out. She's like, I don't know, she just couldn't figure me out. She's like, you're kind of a fall, kind of a summer, kind of a spring. But I think I took away from that I'm going to wear what I want. I kind of know what looks good on me, right? I'm going to wear what I want. Or also, if I think it looks good on me, that's almost all that matters in terms of self-confidence.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So,
And it changes as we age. Our hair color, so it changes. So if you were a winter in the 80s, you're not a winter anymore. I don't know.
We all just want to be a winter, so we can have a lot. Alyssa, toxic workplace, quiet quitting. What do you recommend that we do to put ourselves in a positive and confident place when maybe we're not in the best work environment or best manager employee environment?
okay, so that's a really good question. Cognitive behavioral therapy can help with that too, because we cannot control, so much we can't control in life. We certainly cannot control other people's actions, words, personalities, right? So, but we can possibly learn to think about it differently so that we feel better in that situation and we react differently. So almost my original, even that little example I gave you is maybe useful. But I also have a phrase I teach people. It's just, let me back up. Not taking things personally, I think, is key. A lot of people do take things personally because there are maybe toxic people, but there always will be, in any situation. So the key is not to take things personally, and the way to do that is to think about it differently, to make it about them, in your head. So there's a little phrase you can use in your head, not out loud necessarily in the situation, but you say, because you know these people, it's usually not a one-time thing, right, if it's a toxic situation. So you, in your head, and you can do a little laugh with it if you want, that's just so-and-so. That's just so-and-so. You know that about them. It's about them. It's about their problems. Maybe you feel a little sorry for them because they're miserable on that day or whatever. It's not about you. And then that allows you, that takes away your negative emotion and allows you just to proceed, do your job in that situation.
I love that.
Okay, yes, that's just so-and-so. I teach this to kids about their parents. They're annoyed with their parents. Just say it in your head. You might still need to do what they say, but
That's just my husband.
that's exactly. Anyway.
Faye, because I literally just went through this the other day because I bought a pair of bootcut jeans. How do I embrace the latest style trends without feeling like I just jumped back into high school?
Well, if it makes you feel like that, I wouldn't wear it. I have a new thing. Our tagline at the store used to be loyal, shop local. And we have that for years and years and years. And we really see that in the city. I'm very proud of that. But we've changed it to only buy what you love. And I think that is so important because, you know, the other thing that I preach is take a look at your calendar for the next month because that's a microcosm of your life, right? Your life is your lifestyle, that's a microcosm. And look at every single event that you have. And if you don't have something to wear for every one of those events that you like, I would like to say that you love, but that you like, then you need to go shopping. That's what you go shopping for. Not another pair of black pants or an oversized cashmere sweater. You go shopping for that thing that enhances your wardrobe. You're building your wardrobe. So only buy what you love. Make sure that what you put on in the morning, that you at least like it, and work towards loving what you put on every day. Doesn't have to be gorgeous, but it has to be comfortable. You have to feel good in it. And that makes it a good piece of clothing.
Wonderful. Alyssa, I'm going to jump back to you. Social media again. Toxic positivity is everywhere. Everybody's so happy on social media. But we aren't always, as people, operating in this world of sunshine and rainbows. So how do I bring my authentic self, not only to my home, but to my workplace, while not being an open book and saying, you know, oh, here's all the drama in my life, but like today is not a sunshine and rainbows day. So how do I show up as my true authentic self without maybe getting myself a bad reputation?
There's a couple different ways to approach this. This is a good place for me to throw in another one of my gems that I like to kind of try to live life by and teach people is the idea of being open, honest, and direct. That going through life, open, honest, and direct is the easiest way. It's not always easy in the moment, but it's the easiest way in the long run, for sure. So, and that includes with emotions. Like I'm an open book kind of person, so I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but I think because if you're open in the moment, it's different than building resentment, and also this goes with assertiveness as well, okay? I might be off track with your question, so let me back up a minute. There's another thing, fake it till you make it. You've probably all heard that term used in some way or another. But sometimes, because how we act affects how we feel, it does help in a short period of time to fake it until we make it. So if you know you're in a bad mood and you're concerned about that, smile. You know, there was a study done back in, I don't know, probably in the 1930s or 40s, just simply smiling. You can all try it right now. If you just smile, you feel the difference. Like you feel the difference. So fake it till you make it is one thing you can do for sure in those situations. And also, some of these other tools that I'm just touching on, you know, we can actually change the way we're feeling by maybe thinking about things differently. And if we're having a hard time at work, maybe we can do that. So another little tool is stop just for a moment and remind yourself how you want to feel. I say, I want to feel happy. And then, okay, what can I do? Can I do something in this moment to feel better about it? Sometimes that alone is just enough to remind yourself, hey, do I really want to be annoyed? No. I'm not going to be.
Okay, just going to tell ourselves, not today. Amanda, we talk about the importance of our healthy, happy gut. Everywhere I'm seeing greens powders, colostrum. Colostrum's taken over my feed. Do I need to be buying these things because I feel like I need to be buying these things?
You know, yes, if anyone has their phones open and we're talking about this, you will be having ads for certain products, probably. But, you know, I believe that supplements are named that for a reason. Supplements help to fill in the gaps or supplement a healthy lifestyle. They are never going to be the whole picture or the whole answer to your health questions. So when it comes to fruits and greens powders, I love these for the simple fact that they often add antioxidants to your diet and prebiotic fibers, and some of them have digestive enzymes and good healthy gut bacteria. So it really helps to add to what you're doing, but the misconception is that these products can take place of your fruits and vegetables in your diet because we're just too busy to eat fruits and veggies, right? And your boring, annoying nutritionist would tell you absolutely not. Those supplements cannot take the place and the benefits of eating fruits and vegetables every day. So while yes, they are beneficial, they can help to decrease inflammation, support the gut. Fruits and greens are not part of your diet, they're a supplement. And then colostrum is taking over the world. And it's funny because this therapy has been around forever, and this room is full of women, so we all know what colostrum is, right? A mother's first milk has colostrum in it. So at one point, if you were blessed enough, you probably even had a little bit of colostrum in your freezer. But the supplements that are made from colostrum are a cow's mother's first milk, and the point of these products is the immune benefits. There are something called immunoglobulins in them. In my practice, I use non-dairy immunoglobulin therapy, so it's not colostrum, but there are multiple different forms of immunoglobulins that can be put into a product, and the whole point and focus of taking something like this is to heal the gut lining. If anyone here has ever heard of leaky gut syndrome, it's not a diagnostic term, but it is a health issue that many Americans deal with. And immunoglobulin or colostrum therapy can help to heal the tight junctions in the gut lining. And then the symptoms that heal and are purported benefits that you see on Instagram and Facebook are a result of getting to the root of the issue. The gut is the center of your immune system, and most of our health symptoms stem from there. So I do believe in immunoglobulin therapy. I'm not as passionate about colostrum specifically because people who have dairy issues may actually have an inflammatory response to some of that colostrum therapy.
So if I'm thinking that there maybe is something inside of me, I'm not quite sure what, is there just maybe some general blood work that you recommend that, I can go to my, general practitioner and say, hey, draw this up so hopefully my insurance covers it. That would then arm me with valuable information to then seek out some of the services like yours or others.
There's so many options out there. So things that you can do with your doctor would be true food allergy testing or celiac testing. Has anyone here heard of celiac disease? That is an immunologic response to gluten. That's not the issue for everyone, but I was just talking about immunoglobulins. And when you test for celiac disease, what you are testing is your immunoglobulin response to gluten or gliadin, which I joke is gluten's less popular sister, because we never hear about her. But it's the same thing. Those are the two proteins found in wheat and other related grains. So at the doctor's office, if you are thinking that you've got some food sensitivities, that's a place to start. There's also some at-home food sensitivity tests that you can do a finger prick collection for. And for individuals that are dealing with serious inflammation, maybe autoimmune disease, or symptoms that they just cannot get to the root of, I encourage reaching out to a nutritionist who can do more comprehensive testing. So I do leukocyte. I'm a really big nerd if you haven't caught on to that yet. Leukocyte stimulation. We measure which foods are triggering your immune system to react with inflammation and get to the root of why you don't feel your best. So there's a lot of tests out there. There's also, since no one's eating right now, there is stool testing to measure your poop. And what this can help you understand too is not just the foods that are causing issues, but do you have an imbalance in the bacteria in your gut? Do you have an overgrowth of pathogens that are undesirable like yeast or quote-unquote bad bacteria? Or a lack of digestive enzymes. So again, that test, don't guess theory of really getting to the root and a pointed answer of why you don't feel your best. And the last piece on that, for people that testing is maybe not an option, some places you can start is with that guessing theory. Some of the biggest foods that tend to be triggers for people are the big ones we always hear about. Gluten, dairy, which feels like a sin in Wisconsin. I have a hard time having that conversation with my clients. And sugar. There is not a single person on this earth that does well with copious amounts of sugar. And in America, we are surrounded by it. So thinking of those 3 foods first and seeing if decreasing exposure to those helps you feel better.
Awesome, I love that. So now I'm going to open it up to all of you. I've got just a couple more questions here. We've heard a lot of really amazing tips, I think, from all 3 of you. But they sound like it could cost me a lot of money to start implementing if I leave here today. Start checking boxes. So is there a way that I can do this on a budget, or if anybody wants to speak to maybe the importance of investing now versus dealing with problems later?
Okay, well, I mean, some of the tips I've given you will cost nothing, right? Which is good, except I guess the price of this conference. But therapy, though, it costs money, right? Some people have health insurance, some people don't. Some people I see have pay with health insurance, some people are private pay. I kind of work in 2 different practices. There are a lot of resources out there. I don't usually send people to Google stuff, but I mean, there is a lot of self-help. I mean, if you wanted to Google cognitive behavioral therapy, I mean, there's some good organizations, and you could probably look that up, and that would be free. The problem with therapy, though, with self-help is that for a lot of us, it's the motivation, it's the accountability. The information's all there, but we don't do it. It's like getting a personal trainer versus reading how to do your exercises. But it's a worthwhile investment for your future because, I mean, good therapy, and again, good therapy, I think everyone can benefit from therapy, not just people who are significantly disordered, dysfunctional. And that's the first thing I tell all my clients. You're going to be better off than the average person having gone through this. I'm sorry, maybe you have OCD, but that's going to get better, and you're still going to be better off than the average person because you have all these tools to live a happy life. So it's worth it. I can make that argument easily, And as far as it being less expensive, again, if you're lucky enough to have insurance, sometimes it doesn't end up costing that much. Employers have employee assistance programs that often will cover a certain number for no cost. So, all in there.
So we'll go in order here. With my questions, I tried to provide some lower cost options. There's at-home tests that you can do that are typically covered by HSA and FSA, so if you have health savings or flexible spending. Actually, everything in my practice is also covered by HSA and FSA, so that's one way that the money is still spent, but a lot of times that's allocated for health-related investments. And that is what your health is, an investment. So I typically recommend for people, if you're concerned about the dollars going into it, to start with things you can do at home. Start removing some of those inflammatory foods. Look into probiotic therapy. Does anyone here take a probiotic? Yay! You can also eat probiotic-rich foods like kimchi and sauerkraut and kefir and dairy-free kefir. Eat your plants. And things like that. So definitely starting with how you're eating at home, trying to incorporate fruits and veggies. Oatmeal has something called beta-glucans in it, which is a great prebiotic fiber for the gut as well. And then if you're in a place that you feel like you need extra help, doing something like looking for a nutritionist. For anyone in this room, you can also follow me, my business, on Instagram. I will actually be launching a 21-day gut health class that is self-paced, so that's another option.
We're bombarded by fashion, right? So you don't really have to go looking. You can look at who's next to you, who's sitting up here, and going, oh, I like what she's wearing, or oh, I could never do that. So I think there's almost too much information when it comes to fashion. And you can, again, find a store that you relate to and that relates to you. And even if you came into Faye's and said, I have this great pair of shoes. That was a new one to me, building a wardrobe around a pair of shoes, but that was interesting. And said, I want something to go with these pants. And I have $100 a month to spend, okay? I can build you a wardrobe. Anybody that has some knowledge can build you a wardrobe. The other, I think, really great investment would be to have a closet consult. Have somebody come into your closet and go through, there's this thing that we wear 10% of what's in our closet. And if you think about it, kind of true and kind of scary. So to have somebody come in, tell you what to toss, what to consign, and what to donate. And then, well, wear that with that. And you're like, really? Yeah, wear that with that. And you're like, you're right, I never wear that with that, but that looks great. So, again, I think you can just look around and get inspiration, see someone who's aspirational, and if you want to spend a little money, and you only have to spend a little money, you can spend a lot. Bring it on. But you can also spend a little.
Wonderful. I have a few more questions. If anybody has a burning question that they are confident to ask, please. You're burning, right in front.
So, as Faye said, there's a lot of overwhelming information around fashion. I would say the same around nutrition, so it's hard to know where to start. It's also hard to know, what brands should I be trusting? What am I looking for? If I want to start a probiotic or want to supplement my diet with things that can benefit me, do you recommend a certain brand?
Are you a plant?
No.
That's a great question. So actually in the handout, I focused a lot of my information. I'm Amanda, as a reminder. I focused a lot of my information on supporting the immune system with the upcoming fall and flu season. But then also supplements, because yes, it is so confusing. Supplements are not well regulated. So it is extremely important to purchase brands that take it upon themselves to pay more money for outside certifications. It's called third-party certifications. So I put a few examples to look for. So if you are at a drugstore or a supplement shop and you are looking to just pick something up over the counter, look for seals like NSF and USP. Again, those are on the handout. Those are the first two that I put. What this means is that company that you are purchasing through spends more money to pay an outside company to come in unbiased and test the products for safety, efficacy, and making sure that they're actually doing what they say they do. So that's the most important. I also provided a QR code for something called FullScript. I offer all of my clients and connections 20% discount on this site, and it carries what's called practitioner-grade supplements. So they go through all of that rigorous third-party testing, and they do what they say they're going to do. So USP, NSF, or check out that FullScript QR code.
Wonderful.
Any connection between apple cider vinegar and gut health?
That's a great question. Yes, but like I said, with supplements, it's going to help fill in the gaps. It's not going to be a magical cure. I wouldn't have a job if it was, right? But so what's actually active in apple cider vinegar is the mother. So that's digestive enzymes and some bacteria. So if you are purchasing apple cider vinegar, don't just purchase the cheapest one on the shelf. You want to look for a brand that has the mother in it. Bragg's is a good brand.
I'm in a new phase of my life, being 53 now. So mentally, going through changes, going through menopause. Physically, because of all the hormones just crashing. And then trying to figure out what is my style now, because in my head I'm like, oh, I'm so in my 30s, woohoo! I'm not, my body's different. And then liking what I'm wearing is like a challenge. And I work from home, so I'm most of the time being athleisure, so it's like fun as heck. And then we go out and I feel like I gotta zip our pants and I gotta put on a bra and it's like, it's all of it. I got so that it all plays into your mental stuff as well. So mental health.
And I think we all feel that every day. And I think a lot of times we think we're lone rangers, but that helps me a lot, just to know that everybody is feeling that in some way, shape, or form every day. And it's the secret, if there is a secret, is to managing that. Just control what you can control. Manage it, seek help. But man, oh man, girl, oh girl, you are not alone.
I think nutritionally, the best thing you can do when you start to feel like your body is changing, your hormones are changing, your energy levels might be changing, is think of protein first. Most of us women underconsume protein, and as we age and our hormones change, this becomes even more critical. So starting your day with a protein-rich breakfast sets you up for hormone balance throughout the day. Our hormones are not just our sex hormones. We talked about cortisol earlier. There's also insulin, which is a metabolic hormone. All of these hormones respond to what we put in our body. So starting your day with a protein-rich breakfast and incorporating plants throughout your day. Everyone's going to close their ears off after I say this, but I recommend 5 servings of vegetables a day. So if you're not doing that, that's a great place to start. Serving is half a cup. So that breaks down to 2.5 cups of veggies a day. And for most people, about 2 servings of fruit. Your plants have fiber and antioxidants, and that's what helps with gut, hormone regulation, and so on and so forth. So protein and veggies.
I would just say stay present. I don't know if I've talked about that. I think that some of the earlier speakers talked about being present. Because when you're present, nothing's really that bad in the present. Usually things are really terrible going on. And you don't want to compare. You don't want to be looking back. You know, that leads to regret, depression, all kinds of things, right? We all change. We're changing constantly. So being present makes it easier to accept where we're at. And also accepting where we're at doesn't mean that we can't want to make a change. But it's actually a lot easier to make a change if we want to, if we accept where we're at now, physically, mentally. So, yeah. I hope that's helpful.
No, I think that is, and I want to be cognizant of time. I think we're kind of wrapping up on things here. So last question quickly for each one of you. What is your favorite form of recommended self-care?
For me, it's nature. Just to get out. I live in the woods, and I'm an early riser, and I walk my dogs at 5 o'clock in the morning around the property, and there's the moon. And did you see the moon the last couple of days? And I have a barred owl lately that just hoots in the morning. And it starts my day right. And somebody said about taking a walk, sometimes there are things during the day, and I just go out for 5 minutes in my yard. And then at night, I sit on my porch with tequila and nature. And all is right with the world.
I love that. Mine's not as fun. As a nutritionist, I truly believe eating well is the best form of self-care. You have to eat no matter what every single day. And a little tidbit of information, about 90-ish% of the serotonin that we produce is produced in the gut, not the brain. And so a big key to how you feel day in and day out is how you're fueling your body. If your gut is not right, your mind is not going to be right. So fueling your body appropriately.
I'm a Faye. I love nature, and it's a way to be present. It's so easy to be present for me in nature. So, but really my self-care is being present every moment, pretty much every moment of every day. That's what I'm striving for and doing a decent job of most of the time. That's my that makes self-care very easy. Right? You don't have to go out and look for that. You just be present in your life.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, ladies, for all of your advice. I hope that you all meet us.